It's January 1st, 2024, the first day of a new and blessed year. Happy New Year to all of our viewers worldwide. I'm Esmeralda Padilla Gold, your host. Our father and son team, Uncle Sam and Joe Buban, are on a official business finalizing the busy 2024 calendar for The Pulse. Hang in there, I'll be right back.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. 2023 was indeed a challenging year for most of us, but overall, it's been a year of rebound. In the first quarter of the year, we lost our beloved Tita Pat, who was the wife of our host producer, Uncle Sam, who's also the mother of our researcher host, Joe Buban. Not only was she a beloved community leader, she was also the founder and president of our major sponsor, Pure Medical Supply and Equipment. Shortly thereafter, based on the wish of Tita Pat, Uncle Sam bought Film TV Network, the only digital home and quad media organization for films and Filipinos in America with a physical hub in the state of Nevada. That's TV, print, radio, and social media presence worldwide, plus a studio and event center fondly known as Plus 6350 Film Central, which is where I am right now. I am blessed to have been chosen as equity partner as well as vice president and chief operating officer of the network. The Pulse is now the throbbing heart of Film TV Network, which continues to update all of our viewers with news and public affairs, as well as events and documentary programming led by Film News, Consular Matters, Film Perspective, Film TV Specials, and a host of entertaining programs. When we come back, we'll give you some highlights of the year 2023.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. Sit back and relax as we present The Pulse highlights in 2023.
Welcome to the top stories of 2023. Tonight we're coming to you from Times Square in the heart of New York City. For so many, this is the place where New Year's begins and ends. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you for joining us tonight. Over the next hour, we're counting down to the top 10 stories from this eventful year. Plus, we'll look at the people and trends which define the past 12 months. As we get ready to close the chapter on 2023, we begin with a look back at the year that was. Here's NBC's Joe Fryer.
How do you define a year like 2023? Was it the year of the strike?
No pay! No pay!
Or year of the swift?
When I walk in the room.
Did it offer a glimpse of the future with the rapid rise of artificial intelligence and the weight loss drug Ozempic, or a blast from the past?
Hi, Barbie!
Hi, Ken.
With the pink-coated resurgence of a classic doll? Was it the year a speaker was muted, or simply a political prelude to 2024 and a campaign trail lined with pit stops in the courtroom? 2023 can be defined in so many ways. To much of the world, it was a year headlined by war in the Middle East.
Major breaking news tonight. War erupts in the Middle East. A stunning surprise attack by Palestinian militants.
It started on October 7th, the day many now call Israel's 9/11. In a surprise attack, Hamas militants stormed into Israeli towns and military bases.
They were just all around me, and they were going tree by tree and shooting.
Israel's foreign ministry says about 1,200 people were killed, more than 200 taken hostage, including young children.
It's something that no parent can ever imagine, to see a child in the hands of terrorists.
Israel's response was swift and relentless, but with thousands of Palestinians killed and a humanitarian crisis growing, Israel faced mounting criticism. Those tensions seen on American streets and college campuses, with reports of both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia spiking across the country. As the Middle East war raged on, the one between Ukraine and Russia trudged on. Ukraine's long-awaited counteroffensive stalling and American support waning. Just one of many issues highlighting America's stark divisions. In January, it took 15 ballots.
A speaker has not been elected. Has not been elected. Has not been elected.
To elect Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, a position he held just 9 months before he was ousted.
I fought for what I believe in, and I believe in this country of America.
Like a reality TV show, new contenders came and went.
We're a ship that doesn't have a rudder right now.
Before Louisiana's Mike Johnson got the gavel.
The House will be in order.
An election followed by an expulsion. Scandal-plagued Representative George Santos became only the third congressman since the Civil War to be ejected from the chamber. But no controversy, it seemed, could shake the GOP support for former President Donald Trump, who in April made history too.
It was a legal spectacle never seen before in America. The former president being fingerprinted and being charged with 34 felonies.
Mr. Trump's appearance in a New York courtroom created a media circus that was repeated with indictments in Florida, then Washington, then Georgia, where he mugged for this shot.
We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong.
He has pleaded not guilty to all charges while preserving a vast lead for his party's presidential nomination, skipping debates.
Donald Trump's a lot different guy than he was in 2016. He owes it to you to be on this stage,
leaving the rest of the field to squabble for seconds.
Do you want a leader from a different generation who's going to put this country first? Or do you want Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels?
They're 5-inch heels, and I don't wear them unless you can run in them.
On the Democratic side, President Joe Biden announced his re-election bid in April.
Are you saying that you would be taking part in our upcoming election?
I plan on running out.
While inflation dropped in 2023, so did the president's approval rating, hitting an all-time low. Now voters are bracing for a potential 2020 rematch that's leaving many disenchanted.
We are the future! We are the future!
A wave of labor discontent swept the country in 2023, pushing unions to the picket line. The United Auto Workers went on strike against Detroit's Big Three, eventually winning record pay hikes. Well, Hollywood was effectively shut down, with writers striking, then actors, before reaching deals with studios.
The
best day ever. It is the best day ever.
Amid the strikes, the box office got a boost from an unlikely couple, Barbie and Oppenheimer.
We're in a race against the Nazis.
Both movies opened at the same time, inspiring a cultural phenomenon dubbed Barbenheimer.
Like, the double feature is really legendary.
Now the films are hoping to follow in the footsteps of this year's big Oscar winner, Everything Everywhere All at Once. The sci-fi flick won Best Picture, and its star Michelle Yeoh became the first Asian woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. There were firsts that were far less desirable in 2023. The United Nations declared in late November this was virtually certain to be the planet's warmest year on record. A year with the most billion-dollar disasters in U.S. history, including Hurricane Idalia.
Some wind gusts are starting to pound us. We actually just lost power here right now.
And a firestorm that ravaged the island of Maui.
Local people have lost everything. They've lost their house, they've lost their animals, and it's devastating.
It was the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, with more than 100 people killed. Gun violence plagued the country again, with cities like Lewiston, Maine joining the long list of communities linked to mass shootings.
Why would he do this? Like, why in Lewiston, Maine?
18 people were killed there, while 6 were gunned down at a private elementary school in Nashville, 3 of them children.
How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them?
Tragedy also reached the depths of the ocean.
Let's get right to the story the whole world is watching, the urgent search for a missing submersible.
In June, OceanGate's Titan submersible vanished while on a sightseeing tour of the Titanic's wreckage. A desperate search offered hope the 5 people on board could be rescued, but crews eventually determined a catastrophic implosion killed everyone on the ill-fated voyage. In the sky, the U.S. military shot down a Chinese spy balloon flying over American airspace, heightening tensions between the two countries. The crisis at the border widened in 2023, with places like New York and Chicago running out of room to house migrants who were bused to their cities.
Indict, convict, send those killer cops to jail.
In January, protesters took to the streets following the death of Tyree Nichols.
I'm just trying to go home.
The 29-year-old black man was kicked and punched during a traffic stop in Memphis, dying 3 days later. 5 police officers were fired and charged with state and federal crimes. 1 has since pleaded guilty, the others not guilty. In the courts, the Supreme Court handed down a historic decision in June, gutting affirmative action, effectively ending race-conscious college admissions.
This is a really disappointing decision.
Perhaps no court case generated more attention in 2023 than the trial of Alec Murdaugh. The disgraced attorney from South Carolina, accused of killing his wife and son, took the stand in his own defense.
Did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out?
No, I did not.
The jury deliberated only 3 hours before finding Murdaugh guilty. King Charles III was officially coronated in May. Prince Harry was there for the event. His wife Meghan Markle was notably not, in a year when the royal rift between the couple and palace spared no one. Harry's memoir,
We want privacy! We want privacy!
and a South Park parody.
All right, thanks for having us on the show. Don't know what you're waiting for.
It was a huge year for women in entertainment. Stadiums were ruled by Queen Bee, Beyonce, who also won a 32nd Grammy, and by Taylor Swift, who became a billionaire and Times Person of the Year. The artist even crossed over into football, showing up at Chiefs games to support her new beau, Travis Kelce. Speaking of sports, Simone Biles returned to gymnastics, vaulting to her 6th world title. A comeback on the mat, matched by one on the field, when Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest and medics restarted his heart.
This event was life-changing, but it's not the end of my story.
Hamlin didn't just recover, he returned to the game he loves, a symbol of resilience and strength. That just might be the best way to define 2023.
We're going to now dig into some of those headlines as we count down the top 10 stories of 2023. We begin with one event that grabbed the world's attention for 5 days in June, the tragedy of the Titan submersible. The vessel was on its way to explore the Titanic wreckage when it lost contact. Ships and planes scoured the ocean for days, but then came news that a catastrophic implosion likely killed the 5 people aboard instantly. Despite the dangers of exploration, we continue to see humanity driven by the desire to explain the unknown, both here on Earth and beyond. Tom Costello now on why this was a significant year for the future of space travel.
That rocket roar and cheering coming from South Texas in November
Stage separation
was for a much improved second test of Elon Musk's Starship after the first Starship exploded shortly after liftoff. This time, all 33 engines fired in perfect unison. NASA and America have strapped their dreams to that SpaceX rocket. That next flight will be early next year. Then late in the year, NASA's Artemis astronauts will loop around the moon. In 2022, an Artemis test flight orbited the moon with no crew. That is the spaceship that will take the Artemis II crew to an orbit around the moon for the first time in more than 50 years. This is a 9-day mission, 250,000 miles just to get there. And this ship is nothing like Apollo that carried Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. It is much more advanced, much more automated. Already, they're training at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Mission Commander Reed Weissman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Cook, and Canadian fighter pilot Jeremy Hansen.
I'm most looking forward to paving the way for the future. Back to the moon, onto Mars. The fact that we get to contribute to that, absolutely an honor. The honor of my life.
Later this decade, NASA hopes Artemis and Elon Musk's Starship will rendezvous in lunar orbit, then land on the moon's south pole and begin building a lunar base. China wants to land its own astronauts there by 2030.
We're going back to the moon. It's actually a different moon. We're going to the South Pole.
The South Pole, which may hold frozen ice water, critical for a future moon base and a potential source of rocket fuel for missions onto Mars. It's why India landed a probe there in 2023, and it's the same region that China is targeting for a human landing. The new space race seems likely to pick up speed in 2024.
Tom, I think the space race is really between us and China, and we need to protect the interest of the international community.
Also in 2024, Boeing is hoping to finally launch its Starliner spaceship with astronauts to the space station. Many years delayed and well behind arch-rival SpaceX. And billionaire entrepreneur Jared Isaacman will command Polaris Dawn, another private mission with 3 others in a SpaceX rocket set to reach the highest Earth orbit ever flown. Tom Costello, NBC News.
Our next top story is climate extremes. When 2023 is over, scientists say it will be the hottest year on record. States were shrouded in smoke as Canada saw the worst wildfire season ever. And California got hit with a tropical storm for the first time in more than 25 years. Al Roker has more on the wild weather events of this past year.
2023, the hottest year ever on Earth.
Oh my God.
A year of climate and weather extremes. In the U.S., the number of billion-dollar disasters tallied 25, more than any other year. New Year's rang in with thousands of records shattering across Europe. At least 8 countries had their warmest January day ever. Back home, things were no better. A siege of atmospheric rivers lashed the West Coast through March. Destructive flash floods swept through parts of California, burying the Sierra under 60 feet of snow, and brought a historically dry Tulare Lake back from the dead. When spring arrived, so did the tornadoes. The strongest and most devastating twister of the year was a ferocious EF4 tearing through Rolling Fork, Mississippi, carving a 59-mile path across the state and packing winds as high as 195 miles per hour. Just days later, a 2-day tornado outbreak spawned the 3rd largest outbreak in U.S. history. A shift to the east in what's known as the traditional Tornado Alley is making higher density and more vulnerable populations a target for these types of disasters. In June, wildfire smoke was choking the Big Apple, making it seem like a Mars landscape, shrouding iconic landmarks like the Statue of Liberty and Empire State Building. Both Chicago and New York had the dubious distinction of worst air quality in the world during that hazy week. Climate change making wildfire smoke outbreaks more frequent. As northern cities suffocated, southern cities broiled under relentless days of dangerous heat. At the end of July, Phoenix hitting a record 31 straight days of 100 degrees or hotter. The previous record, just 18 days. Miami's extreme heat and tropical humidity resulted in 46 days registering a heat index over 100 degrees. More than a dozen U.S. cities recording their hottest summer on record. The tropics lit up in late August when Hurricane Idalia rapidly intensified over the Gulf of Mexico, striking North Florida as a high-end Category 3 with winds of 125 miles per hour. Fueled by record warm sea surface temperatures, the fourth most active in history. By November, the brutal heat plaguing the U.S. was now broiling the southern hemisphere. The heat index in Rio de Janeiro hitting an astonishing 138 degrees, the highest ever recorded there. And for the third year in a row, deadly tornadoes ripped through the south just days before Christmas.
Oh my God!
2023, experiencing so many extreme weather events, we couldn't include them all here. Climate change-driven weather leaving its mark all around the globe.
Here in Times Square, we are at the center of culture and commerce. This year, how much we spent and what we spent it on was top of mind for those deciding economic policy. Inflation began to ease, but interest rates rose and major industries were hit with strikes. Here's NBC's Brian Chung with our next top story of the year.
It was the year of picket lines, bank blowups, and Barbie. The economy steered clear of a recession, but the biggest theme of all, worker power.
No justice! No peace!
Across the country, over 500,000 teachers, pharmacists, fast food workers, and more went on strike. The biggest ones targeting Hollywood and the Motor City. TV and movie production halted when the Writers Guild first walked out in May, with actors and performers joining 2 months later. In the fall, members of the United Auto Workers forced stoppages at Detroit's big three automakers, further empowered by President Biden's unprecedented visit to the picket line. Still, high inflation showed signs of improving, dropping from over 6% to about 3% by year's end. Some things got cheaper compared to a year ago. Gas down 34 cents a gallon. Prices cracked on eggs too, over $1 cheaper per dozen. The cost of living, though, continues to keep inflation readings high, although with median rents down 2%, hope that affordability will improve next year.
Don't go away as we give you a sneak preview of what's brewing in the battle for the 119th Congress.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
Welcome back to The Pulse. Borrowing Uncle Sam's words, we're looking at the battle for the soul of our nation, this fragile experiment we have called democracy, which if people don't get involved through their sacred right to vote, In my honest opinion, our democracy here in the United States is in peril. While this statement was for the battle for control of the 118th Congress, this is very much true for the 119th Congress. And the outcome of the 2024 election in November can likely be the tipping point of yet another determination of whether or not democracy will continue to be in danger in this country. Uncle Sam continued to say that election results really can affect every walk of life, for the better or for the worse. The true big shift of government or administration policy always begins and ends in the United States Congress. And who controls it? We're talking about political party in control. And for most of the time, no matter who is sitting in the White House. So expect the father and son tandem of Uncle Sam and Joe Buban to fill you in on who's running, who's leading, and who will most likely sit in the 119th Congress. They will introduce you to the candidates as well as the major issues the candidates and the country are facing. As I focus on bringing you Film TV special to entertain you, expect more of Uncle Sam and Joe Buban to keep your heart pulsating with the pulse. This has been your host, Esmeralda Pudio Gold. A blessed year to everyone.
Enjoy Film TV Network on KGNG 26.8 Las Vegas and www.filmtv.us. Search for and download Film TV Network in Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Download the WCE TV app from smartphones and search for Film TV.